Okay, so we're starting off here with our first mini video lecture for TSM 115. And I just want to communicate real quick off the bat. You have a choice, right, in watching these video lectures, in reviewing the content before you take the quizzes each week, and before you come to class, okay? The intent is that they're there for you to prepare to take the quiz and prepare to come to class. Because when we get to class, my expectation is that we've done that already and we understand what we're talking about. Maybe not all the details, but we have an idea of the big main points, right? And then we're going to do our activities that take what we've talked about in the lectures and put it into practice, right? And actually work on honing our skills and our abilities to do what we've been talking about in the video lectures, okay? So please watch the videos, take the quizzes before you come to class, be prepared. That will help you, okay? They're there to help you. So again, my name is Mr. Hockery. Just remember Hickory, Dickory, Dockery, Hockery. And so what I want to do in this first lecture is talk about a couple things. First, what do technologists do? And what do we mean by technologists? What's that word mean? It relates to technology and the technology degree that a lot of you are getting from this department. And so that will bring us into kind of what is the keys and what are the key skills and abilities that we're hoping as a department to teach you through the technology degrees. And then I want to finish out with what does authentic problem solving look like? What is this process of solving problems going to look like? And what are some things that we'll do when we do that? Okay. And so we'll start off with first, technology versus engineering versus science. So Albert Einstein has been credited as saying, scientists investigate what exists, whereas engineers create what doesn't exist. And so if we kind of combine what technologists then do, they facilitate the making and managing of systems by solving problems between what exists and what doesn't exist. So they play that intermediate role between science and engineering, which means they need to know and have a grasp on science, need to have a grasp on engineering, be able to talk the talk, understand the languages, understand the theories and the concepts, and really help bridge that gap. And a lot of times this comes into play in managing systems. So if we talk about what's the difference between a technologist or an engineer, right? You go home on break and your grandmother or your aunt asks you, so what you're doing at Iowa State? What kind of degree are you getting? You say, I'm getting a technology degree. Well, what's that? Is that engineering? Right? How do you answer that? Well, a lot of people's opinions are engineers, right, have this more calculus, more design, more theory, whereas technologists, more algebra, more making and managing, or more hands-on. Okay, so there's this very stark difference, okay, on these areas. Still others would have the opinion that there is not a stark difference. There's a lot of overlap, okay? A lot of what engineers do, technologists do, when you come out with a technology degree and you get put in a position where you're working with engineers and you're doing a lot of the same things that they're doing, okay? So this is some others' opinion. My personal opinion is that it's somewhere in between these extremes, okay? There's overlap. It may not be minimal. It may not be almost all-encompassing. It's somewhere in between. Okay, but really what we want to be able to do as technologists is understand what that means and communicate what that means to other people. Okay, so what are some things that we could expect to do in a job as technologists? Now, I'll say this right now, not all of the students in this course will come out with technology degrees. Some will have science degrees. So I understand that not all the students this applies to 100%. But I have had a lot of students in other departments and other majors having minors in AST or iTech. And so you're kind of in this conversation as well, right? And so some of the hard skills we can expect to do at work are related to research and development of systems and products, designing systems and products, product and manufacturing systems and products, rather produce. And then also testing, right? Some of the hard skills, some of the technical skills we need to have a handle on. Some of the soft skills, right, are managing operations systems, teams of people, projects. And a big one, and this is, I probably spent 50% of my time each day doing bridging the gap between customers, upper management, sales, purchasing, accounting, engineers, hourly employees, the whole lot, okay? That was a big thing that I did as a technologist, just was the middleman, right? Going between those different departments and those different people to make the goal happen of finalizing the project, installing equipment, getting paid for the project, all of the above, okay? That's going to be a key part that technologists will do at work. And so what do we do, or what will the Technology Systems Management degrees, TSM degrees, prepare you to do? Okay, so those of you who are majoring or minoring in a TSM degree, what's that teaching you how to do? Well, there's two Ag Systems Technology degrees, Agricultural and Biosystems Management and Machine Systems. Then there's two ITech, Industrial Technology, Manufacturing, Occupational Safety and Health. Okay, so you can major in any of these four or you can minor in some of these. Okay, but what are we really trying to teach you with those degrees? Starts with this critical path. Okay, and we of course start out on the left with problem solving. This is going to flow through engineering design, authentic leadership, safety awareness, all the way up to systems thinking. Okay, of course project management is a big part of that. Quality orientation is also an important part. Okay, and so really what we're trying to impart to the students is this critical path of skills and abilities to be able to do these things. Okay, because what business leaders get paid for is for knowing what to do while there's still time to do it. Okay, and problems are usually at the center of what people do at work. A fundamental part of every manager's role is to find ways to solve these problems. Okay, and this involves critical thinking. This also involves systems thinking, understanding the whole system, how everything works together, and what an appropriate solution looks like. And so if we take a look at the courses that you're going to take, right, these are the core courses that if you're in the ITech or AST majors, you'll take each of these courses. We have TSM 115 here at the bottom left, right, but you're going to take these courses all the way up through to 416, your capstone, your senior semester, you're ready to graduate. Again, all of these courses are leading from projects, problem solving up through systems thinking, and really trying to train all of us in how to do those things. So that's the focus of the Technology Systems Management degrees, the things that the critical components of what we're trying to teach in all of these courses. I want to spend a couple of minutes here looking at an overview now of problem solving. So we're coming back to TSM 115. What does problem solving look like and how are we going to do it? So we have these phases, right? This multi-step process. Starts with defining the problem question, identifying assumptions, criteria, and constraints, determining appropriate data, producing data or alternatives, analyzing data or alternatives, and then communicating our solutions. Okay, so I've tried to distill this down to the most important key components of solving problems. This is very similar to an engineering design process, but I feel like this is a fundamental process that can be applied to many different scenarios. And so one of the things that at the beginning of the semester on the syllabus that we talked about or reviewed, the three big points that I want to come away from the course understanding. One would be that this process is systematic, it's got steps, and it's interrelated, right? And so our define phase is going to relate and affect and impact all the other phases, okay? Our identify phase will do the same, okay? as will our determined phase. It impacts what we do in all the other phases, okay? So really what I want to communicate with this slide is every step of the way on problem solving is going to impact the next step or the previous step. And we may get to a point where we start bouncing in between phases and going back to phases and coming back through again, right, before we get to the final solution. The other thing is that we see this this clockwise arrow showing that it's a cycle and it's a circle, right? And that's intentional. What we're going to find in reality is a lot of problems aren't completely solved when we get to the end. We come to a solution that is good, but not maybe the best, and there's always room for improvement. And so we can always cycle back through, redefine the problem or re-identify assumptions, and we can kind of do that process over again, okay? And a lot of times that's what we do in real job scenarios where we solve a problem and today this is the solution, but tomorrow there's going to be a different solution. Also, we always want to be remembering our goals. We always want our phases and what we do in each step of the process to be in clear support of our goals, okay? Just like driving a car, riding a bicycle, we got to know where we're headed to be able to get to there, And so if we don't know where we're headed, if we don't know what our goals are, then I have no idea where we're going to go, right? We'll just be spinning our wheels. But finally, I think one of the most important things that I want to help us learn to do is to stop and think. Okay, our minds are very, very powerful tools for solving problems. Even though we have great advances in robotics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer systems, our minds are still capable of doing things, simple things that we don't even think about, that computer systems still struggle to do. Okay, driving down the road, interpreting road signs, speed limit signs versus stop signs with graffiti, right? We just do that without even thinking. Computer systems still have trouble doing that, okay? So I want us to be able to get into the habit of slowing down, thinking about what we're doing, writing out what we're doing, keeping a mental process of thinking through what we're doing as we do it. So let me give you some examples, right, of this problem solving. Trade-offs are a big thing. It's a core aspect, and really it's the process of balancing criteria and constraints. Criteria are things that we're trying to maximize. Constraints are things that are rules we have to live by, we can't violate. And we'll get into the descriptions of each phase and the parts of the phases in the next video slide. But just briefly, an example, okay? Say we want to design a car that can either go 200 miles per hour, get to 100 miles per gallon, or the driver can survive after hitting a brick wall at 50 miles per hour, head-on collision, right? So those three things there are all criteria that we're trying to design the vehicle to do. The last one, the under $18,000, is a constraint. That's a hard constraint. We cannot design a vehicle that costs more than $18,000, okay? And so we have an option here. We can pick and choose, do we want the vehicle to go 200? Well, if we want it to go 200 and we can't have it cost more than $18,000, we're probably not going to be able to have it survive, the driver survive after hitting a brick wall at 50, right? Because we're going to have to use really light materials to get that vehicle to go that fast. Or on the flip side, if we wanted to get 100 miles per gallon, we got to, cut some things in the speed and in the impact, right? And so, prime example, we have solutions to problems. We can't maximize all of our criteria. We kind of got to balance them, and we got to stay within our constraints. So this is really central, right? Trade-offs. We're also going to have problems that we solve that have multiple solutions, and we have to pick what's the best solution, and it's going to be this same balancing act. It's all going to come back to constraints, criteria, with some assumptions in there, okay? It's really the essential part of solving problems. It's really where the analysis comes in. But as technologists, we want to be able to combine science and engineering principles. We want to be able to express it mathematically. We want to be able to use computers, right? And we're going to need to be able to evaluate on a wide range of criteria. So, some key things that we want to learn through our college experience, okay, are math, science, computer programming. We're going to do the computer programming in this course. It's in the kind of the second half of our semester. I'm really looking forward to it. I love it, okay? These are essential tools, right? The thing that we're going to focus on in the beginning of the semester is our problem-solving process, but then also using Excel to help us analyze data, collect data, analyze data, and solve our problems. Then we'll kind of flow into the computer programming. So, solving problems is systematic, it's creative, and it's social, okay? It's very creative. We need to be able to think outside of the box a lot of times, okay? Take new perspectives, kind of approach things differently. It's also very social. We need to be able to communicate with each other, with other people. We need to be able to take our solutions and communicate them to others. And this is a very important part of the process. If we don't do this well, it almost voids the whole process and all the work we've done. Okay, if we can't communicate our solution, who cares, right? I could have the cure for cancer, but if I'm not able to communicate that, nobody's going to understand it. I'm just going to be another clanging cymbal amongst all the other people talking, right? Now, usually when I'm in the classroom, we go through this design competition, we build a bridge, we use paper, there's some constraints, there's some criteria, right? We're going to forego this, okay? We're going to just jump into activity 1. You can find that on Blackboard under the week 1 activity folder, okay? You're going to do a very similar process. But I'm looking forward to getting back into the classroom with you in a few weeks. Please look for the ppt2 video, PowerPoint 2 video as well. View that. If you have any questions, again, ask me, come to class, talk to Nick Keach, our TA. Good luck.